Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Is this movie a reboot?
Is this only a sequel to the first Scream movie?
And is this a breaking down of current horror trends while staying true to the original Scream film series?
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
And I'm his co-host and his father. My name's Craig.
Yep.
And quickly, before we get into what we're doing, I'm going to answer those questions. You can go back and match these up. No, and hell yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
so let's tell them what we're doing this week.
Well, this week we're reviewing yet another 2022 released horror movie.
Which is not necessarily the plan.
It wasn't even on purpose.
Yeah, we usually do 4 horror movies that are connected in some way in a row. For those who don't know, might be new to this channel. But I have to say, this is not the case with these. We did the preview, and then we just happened 2 weeks in a row, or 2 episodes in a row, be able to watch ones that we didn't even preview this.
No, we didn't because it had already come out.
Yeah, but now it's on Paramount Plus, so we said, whatever, let's do a second new one.
Absolutely.
Last week we did Texas Chainsaw on Netflix, and this one it's on Paramount Plus.
So if you've got that, before we
Not
dig
sponsored.
before we dig in, watch it.
Yeah. If you like the Scream franchise, watch it, and then watch it, because we sometimes give spoilers. But basically, here's the premise. There's a bunch of teenagers in a town in Florida in which a guy in a mask based on the Scream painting is going around and killing them. And it's all based on secrets in their past. You know, like the first 4 Scream movies.
Yes.
And like the first 4 Scream movies, the killers are different each and every time.
Yes.
But it's also a commentary on horror in general.
Yes.
While being its own slasher movie. It's a satire, not a parody. So it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's poking at the tropes of horror.
Yes.
And when horror evolves, so does Scream, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's the basic
And apparently
premise.
so does Stab.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
So now, is there anything you want to say about it other than... I mean, that's basically what happens.
Basically, it's another Scream movie. If you are in on the idea of another Scream movie, then you're in for this movie.
Yeah. There's nothing...
There's nothing like...
There's nothing where you might be shocked at who the killer is, you might not. But you know what you're not going to be shocked by?
You might be shocked by who does and doesn't die. You might not.
Right.
But, like, it's kind of a Scream movie. Like,
yeah, it fits the other 4 perfectly.
And does its own thing at the same time.
But
it stayed absolutely true to the Scream nature.
Exactly. So let's watch the trailer so you can see what we're going on and on about.
This isn't funny, Amber.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
locked. Doors unlocked.
Hello?
It's happening. 3 attacks so far. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Something about this one just feels different.
Samantha?
I know who you are.
I've been through this a lot. This is your life now, which means that whoever this is gonna keep coming for you. You ready for this? Never.
Oh, stop! Wait! There's certain rules to surviving.
The attacks were all on people related to the original killers.
Whatever his link is to our past, it's pulled us all back here. And I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
In
Oh, jeez.
Oh shoot.
All right.
Oh, this is the first page. Whoops. So I wrote the number on yours wrong. All
Okay.
right.
Anyway, sorry, we were trying to figure something out while the...
Roll that trailer again.
No, don't do that. Anyway, smart ass. There's nothing else that I really wanted to say about what this is. We've basically given that.
Yeah, and you've seen the trailer now, so
Yeah, I mean, it's a Scream movie. But before we get into too much, I want to say what we're really here for. See, a lot of people assume that we're here for our love of horror. And don't get me wrong, that is a
We do
small
love
part.
horror.
But what we really love is money. It's like that Eazy-E guesting on Bone Thugs song, For the Love of Money.
it's like Mr. Krabs every time you see him.
Yeah. And the way we get money, you see, is we pimp ourselves out to sell products that
Yes.
actually exist in the real world and you can really buy.
Yes.
And they send us, what I always say they back up a Brinks truck, but this time we got, those giant styrofoam checks that people receive when they win the lottery? Those got delivered to us instead. We came out and they just had those giant styrofoam checks. And
Takes up less space.
did not fit in my wallet, by the way. But anyway, this is how we made our money this week, is we sold ourselves out to... Gory Storytime is brought to you by Williamson Home Security. For 25 years, Williamson has provided safe and smart solutions for people's homes. Through innovative smart home products and our app, you can control your home from anywhere. But unlike the competition that offers similar features, Williamson has added things like hidden weapons. So if a break-in occurs and you are locked and loaded before the cops could ever arrive. Imagine the crook's surprise when the lights cut off and the built-in speakers begin blaring, "Let the bodies hit the floor." Williamson Home Security, because who needs the cops when you got us?
Solid. Pretty solid, actually. And by the new game show, Who's the Killer? Contestants answer trivia to earn points. Each round, the person with the least points gets killed in front of the live studio audience. In the final round, the final girl or guy takes their points and can trade for tools to protect themselves. The more points, the better the weapons and body armor. They have 5 minutes to kill the killer or be the victim themselves. Who's the Killer? Coming soon.
All right. Now, let's see.
The meat and beef of the show.
The meat and beef of the show. Yeah.
Yes.
The behind-the-scenes information, as it were.
Yes.
You're
Like
gonna go
all
first.
previous 4 Scream films, Roger L. Jackson is actually on the phone with the characters as Ghostface.
While Richie is watching a YouTube video about Stab 8, The thumbnail recommendations beside it is an interview with the Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed, played by Hayden Panettiere from Scream 4.
The fact that Dewey never mentioned his sister Tatum or her death was an oft criticized aspect of the prior sequels, making it seem like she had been forgotten. Here, we see that he still keeps her ashes on the mantle.
Cool, touching thing. David Arquette, who is a certified Bob Ross painting instructor, taught several of the cast members how to paint like the legendary artist during filming breaks.
Okay.
I knew that they had classes to teach you how to paint in that style.
The first Scream film, not directed by Wes Craven, who passed away in August of 2015 from cancer. The character of Wes was named in honor of him, and the film is dedicated to him in the end credits.
As should be. Sidney's line in the film, "I'm Sidney fucking Prescott, of course I have a gun," was Nev Campbell's idea to include.
Which is cool. Although Patrick Dempsey doesn't appear in the film, we finally learned what happened to his Scream 3 character, Mark Kincaid, after Scream 4. Turns out, Sidney and Mark got married and had kids. Dempsey was considered to reprise his role as Mark for the fourth film, but scheduling conflicts with Transformers Dark of the Moon would have made it impossible.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain why he wasn't in this one.
No.
In the original film, Sidney uses an online 911 emergency system to call for help. This scene was meant to show her typing her address as 13 Elm Street, but it was cut for time. It
34.
isn't until this film that an Elm Street in Woodsboro is seen, made canon, and confirmed to be the street Sidney grew up on. Elm Street, of course, is another reference to the Wes Craven classic, A Nightmare on Elm Street. If you're watching a horror review show and you don't know that Wes Craven did Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nev Campbell was initially hesitant to return to the franchise, especially in a new Scream film that didn't feature Wes Craven as director, who would be unable to give Campbell and the new directors his blessing due to his death. What changed her mind was a letter sent to her by Matt Bettinelli, Olpen, and Tyler Gillette, where they wrote about how much Wes Craven and his films meant to them as filmmakers.
The film was released January 14th, 2022, being 25 years and 25 days since the original film's release date, which came out December 20th, 96.
That's cool. The first two films feature flash cut shots of Ghostface acting menacing before the end credits. Here there's a flash of Ghostface honorably wiping his blade with his head bowed in a respectful fashion in honor of Wes Craven.
All right. Dewey watches Gale as an anchor for Good Morning America. Before he turns the TV off, Gale signs off making a joke that she hopes to never have bangs again, and if she tries, someone should stop her. This, of course, is a reference to the Gale hairstyle in Scream 3, a look that fans have derided for years and even became a meme in the 2010s.
David Arquette said he was excited to regrow his now famous mustache for his role as Dewey Riley.
Spyglass Media Group had to secure the rights from Fun World to use the original Ghostface mask for this film.
Huh.
This is the one that's a repeat, kind of.
In a Hollywood Life interview, David Arquette talked about how he would love for Hayden Panettiere's character Kirby to return for this film. Ultimately, she was unavailable, but did have a cameo in the form of a YouTube video thumbnail and a voice cameo at Amber's party.
Slightly different version of a similar thing. I hate when they overlap like that, but anyway.
Yeah.
The new cast members have all stated that radio silence was extremely secretive about the true ending of the film during production, to the point where none of the new cast knew the final outcome, as explained here. This was likely done to avoid leaks that afflicted Scream 2 in '97.
In an interview on The Drew Barrymore Show, Jenna Ortega said that the cast watched the first Scream on Halloween night 2020. They viewed it on a projector as they ate popcorn.
In an interview with Bloody Disgusting, co-directors Matt Bettinelli Olpen and Tyler Gillette, I think,
Yep. I don't know.
revealed that both Matthew Lillard and Drew Barrymore returned for voice cameos. Matthew Lillard does the voice of the flamethrower Ghostface. "This is lit," said Gillette, referencing the take on the villain in the trailer for the Stab 8 movie within a movie. Lillard also spoke a line at the party scene, which is fitting, considering it takes place in the same location as the party from the first film, the home of Lillard's original character, Stu Macher. There's a line when Amber's walking through the party. There's a couple right before she turns into the kitchen, and Matthew Lillard's automated dialogue replacement is "Cool house, Freeman," which is why we thought it was funny, because it's his house. For Barrymore, whose character Casey Becker is famously and shockingly killed off in the first scene of the original film, she's the principal making announcements at the beginning of the movie when the camera pans down from a tree to find our new cast at the picnic tables. Executive producer Chad Valea told Bloody Disgusting that they thought that was fun too, because that's the same scene after her death in the original.
Dimension Films lost the rights to the Scream franchise that they had since the first movie in '96. Lantern Entertainment and Spyglass Media Group bought the rights to some Dimension franchises, including Scream, Scary Movie, Children of the Corn, and Runaway.
No, Children of the Corn Runaway.
Oh.
So not.
Okay, whoops.
Yeah. Following Tara's attack, her friend group comes together on the school's campus to discuss the situation, mirroring a scene from the original Scream, where Sydney, Billy, Tatum, Stu, and Randy get together to discuss Casey and Steve's murders the night prior. Tatum and Stu are seen eating a bag of green grapes during the sequence. As a tribute to this detail, Wes and Amber are seen sharing the same.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes. The Rotten Tomatoes score, just to give a quick explanation for those who don't know, they take all of the known critics' scores for a movie, positive, negative, whatever, and they average them. So the percent that they give is the percent of positive reviews. So it's not them rating the movie. So if it's 50%, they're not saying it's
50 out of
it's
100.
half.
They're saying 50 out of 100 people who reviewed it gave it a positive review.
Right. And you have the critics over there, so...
I do. The critics gave it a 76%.
And the people also get to vote on Rotten Tomatoes. And again, it's just positive or negative, and it's 81% with the people. So fairly similar, all things considered, but higher for the people. But
which makes perfect sense.
The fact that it was as high as it was for the critics is considered pretty good for a horror movie.
But I actually think that they were, all well received.
Fairly well,
critically,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, these are a well-written series of movies.
They are.
There's a reason why, after all these years, people were still wanting another one.
That's why, after all these years, people were excited to go to a theater to see a fifth one.
Yeah.
Well,
but people used to go to the other ones wearing masks anyway, so that didn't change anything. It was a different mask, but listen.
Oddly enough, I could breathe better in that one.
All right. Now let's talk about our favorite and least favorite scenes. And I'm going to start with my least favorite thing. Usually I ask you first, but the CG of Billy Loomis, they
got the original actor back.
Did they do that? Because
yes,
it doesn't say... Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Well, they tried to de-age him to look like he did, and... They didn't have the kind of budget that Disney does when
even close.
When they put Princess Leia as a young lady in the side story to
Not
Star
even
Wars,
close.
And it just
Disney
didn't work.
Created a person from the ground up.
Yeah.
For a Star Wars movie.
It just didn't work for me. It was very obvious. It was cool to try to do, but the technology's not there to do it well if you're not going to have the budget to do it right. You know what I mean? Like, some things, the price will come down on it, and they'll be able to do it more in the future, which is scary because a lot of people are like, we won't even need actors anymore.
I mean, there's some apps where deepfake is,
Yeah,
pretty good already.
I mean, they did all right, but this was like you know what they were doing, but you could see that they were doing it.
Right.
So that's
Right.
my least favorite.
Yeah,
part.
I get that. And I guess I'm gonna go with, because I had two that I was debating, and I'm going with a super spoilery one. So turn away now, because there's a death in this movie that I absolutely hate.
How about this? Without being spoilery, I know which one you're thinking of,
You do.
and I will just say, someone that came back from
A legacy character, as they kept calling him.
yeah,
They called them
unfortunately
all legacy characters.
died, and I'm not going to say which one.
But
I had
of-
it spoiled
one
for me ahead of time,
one
and I
of
told you I
my
had something
favorites.
spoiled, but I refused
One
to
of my
let
favorites
you know.
from the original Go About. I mean, obviously brutally, because this movie is very brutal.
Oh yeah,
Sliced and diced, and
I mean he was. Well, that gives away something. A legacy character was gutted, and
I cried.
yeah,
I
it
did.
was unfortunate. So hopefully that doesn't ruin it for you. But we did say go watch the movie first.
Right.
My least favorite thing, or my favorite thing,
Yes.
because we did it our least. My favorite thing was probably the fact that after 4 other movies, and 3 was probably the weakest, and I still liked it.
Yeah.
Like 4 was really good too. Like,
4 was also
I would say
really
3
good.
was my least favorite, and I still gave it a decent review, I believe, on this show.
Yeah.
I think we've done all of them, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is, this was better than 3, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it was better than 4.
Yeah.
1 and 2, I don't know. It's not better than those, but it's definitely
It's up there with them.
it's in my top 3 of the 5 movies, which says a lot, and I like all of them. So it's the fact that there was they did a lot of homages without going over the top. I think the biggest over the top moment was a character named Wes knowing that Wes Craven died. I think that was probably the biggest over the top thing.
and it wasn't even, because, like, it wasn't over the top, in my opinion.
It was obvious.
It was obvious,
you know.
but watching it, it
Like
didn't
having
bother me because
Drew
Wes is a name.
Like I didn't notice Drew's voice. Like it didn't stick out as, oh, look what they did. Aren't they clever? They did it in a way that
Matthew
integrated
Lillard's
well. Yeah,
voiceover in one scene
absolutely.
didn't steal the show.
I think this was the one thing where it just really stuck out, and I'm like, I see what you did. All right. And had they done the scene with showing Elm Street, it would have been like, I see what you did.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? And this really did a lot of fan service to the people who liked the originals
Especially the first
without
one.
getting corny about it.
Especially the first one.
Yeah, but there was stuff about the others too.
There was big stuff about
and
the
I
others.
love it. So I think that's my favorite thing is that, except for one thing that was glaringly like, look, aren't we clever? Everything else was actually clever without looking like it was a little kid going, Dad, did I do good? Look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think the new rule that they add, because in every movie they add another rule. In the first one,
more.
it's how to survive a horror movie. In the second one, how to survive a sequel. In the third one, how to survive a trilogy.
Because
in
in
the
a
fourth
trilogy,
one,
yep.
So in the fifth one, they added a rule that hadn't been talked about yet, and I think, without giving it away, I guess, even though it's fairly early that you find this out, one of the main characters has a special thing about them, and it becomes a rule at the end of the movie that I think is used very well.
Oh, you're talking about a different line than I was. Okay, I thought you were talking about the fact that they do get into a lot about the reboot thing where, like, I complained about it before, where they say, oh, this is a sequel to the first one, but not the rest. This doesn't do that. This isn't what they called a requel, where they're doing
Only
a
a
soft
sequel to
reboot with
a first
legacy
one,
characters, but, you know, not all...
Like bringing Laurie and Michael back, but having Laurie's nieces and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is This is good because it comments on other types of horror that have come out since the slasher genre.
Its complaint is that basically Stab 8 was so bad that the fans wanted
to reboot it.
to do a requel where it was a sequel to the 7th one or the 5th one or something like that.
Yeah.
But not 6, 7, 8 because those were the bad ones.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with H2O back in the day with Halloween,
Yeah,
and then they
and-
did again with Halloween, and they just did with Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, and
Anyway, so they got to do their meta commentary about those type of things, and I like that.
without doing it
Right.
because it follows up on
And
stuff
they came
from
up with
all
rules about
4.
those too.
Well, and it follows
And
up
the
on
other
stuff
thing
from
was
all
the
4.
It Follows and
Babadook and
where it's
like psychological
the psychological deep dive into the characters. Jordan
Of, like, the
Peele
psyche,
did some
yeah.
of the stuff like their psyches, which isn't a slasher thing. So it poked fun at those tropes without doing them in the movie itself.
and like
It did
in,
what it
in
did.
s-
A good Scream movie.
it did everything I wanted a Scream movie to do except for like
Before we run
2
out of time,
things.
on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate?
I'm giving this movie a 9.
Yeah, I'm not going to go quite that high. I'm going to say 8 because I still think 1 is better, and maybe it's probably. I don't know what I gave 1 and 2 on the show, but I will
don't
say
remember.
it's not quite as good as 1, but it's right up there with 2, which I think was the second best. So, like,
Beginning to end,
I'd have to
I
watch them
thoroughly
all back
enjoyed
to back
myself
to
with this
really
movie.
think about it now, but I think.
Like we
it's-
tried to watch it and my Wi-Fi went out and I didn't feel like it was dragging to rewatch the first 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's all you need
So-
to know. All right.
So yeah, 9, 8.
Yeah. And now all the stuff that's over on the side that we got to
Exactly.
get out.
So we have this show on Fact TV channel 1076, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can follow us on Facebook. And when I say us, I mean Gory Storytime has a page, but don't forget to like and that
Follow.
Fact TV.
Yeah.
Like and follow Fact TV.
Absolutely. You can go to factdate.com. They have a bunch of the back episodes of this show,
Many other shows.
many other shows that are done on this channel.
Yep. You can hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all one word, all lowercase.
I'm at Jiggly Fern Brian. I have to actually get back onto Twitter because my new phone hasn't let me yet. But I just tweet funny things that he says.
Unrelated to the show in both cases. And also check out my YouTube channel. It's Juggalo Jakes, all one word. That's where you'll find episodes of this. You'll find sketches, music videos, other shows that I've done. Mostly uncensored stuff. So if you get offended easy, don't watch.
Yeah.
And
So again, just
look for Fact TV
watch
on YouTube.
this
by the way.
watch movie.
Yeah, definitely watch this
And
movie if you
I'm-
like horror.